Do you feel like everyone around you has their life figured out, but you're still trying to figure out yours? You are not alone. It's your boy, Tay Out The Way, and in this video, we're going to talk about the pressures we face in our 20s to have everything figured out and why it's okay if you haven't. So let's take a deep dive into how to handle the confusion and stress while learning to enjoy the journey. So, point number one is going to be finding your way. Now, by the time that you've hit your early 20s, you've had a very limited life experience. So, up until the age of 18, you was probably in some form of education where you was told what you had to do, or you had minimal choice in what you was actually doing or interested in. So, of course, you're not going to know what you want to do with your life if you've only really just started to live it. Then another thing is, just because your family want it for you doesn't mean that it's right for you. How many times have you heard of a friend, or you know someone, a family member, that's told you that they've only gone to uni or they've chosen a career path because that's what their parents wanted for them, and they're actually miserable in that field because it's not something they're actually interested in? It happens quite a lot because people think that there's security in doing whatever your family have already determined for you. And yeah, there is some sense of security in the fact of like going to university. Like, yes, you'll get a degree, which will make it easier to get jobs. However, if you get a degree in something that you don't actually care about, what was the point in getting it anyway? And a lot of the time, you can maneuver through the workforce to get where you want to without necessarily having to get that degree. So, once again, don't do something just because your family advise you to. Take on what they suggest, and if you think that's a path that you're genuinely interested in, then by all means go for it. And the final thing that I wanted to talk about for finding your way is that no matter what you pick, no matter what street you decide to go down or pathway you decide to choose, you are going to be judged regardless. So there's no point in operating out of fear, because if you know that if you become a doctor, you're still going to get ridiculed, or if you're just a retail worker, you're going to get ridiculed, you might as well be ridiculed doing something you enjoy. And I think a lot of people tend to live out of the fear of what others think so that they don't get judged. But every day that you post something or you buy something, people are judging you, even if it's subconsciously. And it's not just friends or strangers, it can even be your own family. They might not understand the choices that you've decided to make. So they will judge you until you prove them wrong. Then the second thing I want to talk about today is experimenting. So when you're in your early 20s, that's when you have the least amount of responsibility. So you need to try as much as possible. And by responsibilities, I'm talking about you haven't got bills to pay for, or you might have bills that you help the parents out with, but it's not the full thing, or you don't have kids or a mortgage, things that actually weigh you down, things that can stop you from taking a risk. Because if that risk doesn't work, then they'll suffer for it. So even if you're just doing something for a joke, it's better to have tried it and to know that it's not for you than it is to live in the fear of never knowing. And then on top of that, the 20s is the years of your life where you have the most energy. You can put in 4 or 5 hours of work in after work and not be tired as much as someone that's in their 30s, their 40s. And there's little drawback to your body and mind as there would be to someone that's older, because you're physically able to do so. And finally, for experimenting, if it didn't work, if it doesn't work, then you didn't lose much. Anything that you try could have a transferable skill in some way, shape, or form. It might not be obvious, or it might not be so direct, but in a indirect way, it might help you with something else you're next interested in to learn. And the worst thing that happens if it doesn't work out is you become more interesting of a person because you have more experiences and things to talk about. And realistically, all you've wasted might be some time or some money. Now, time you can't get back, but because you've developed as a person, you haven't really lost the time. It just was used in a way that didn't turn out to be productive. Now, the third thing I want to talk to you about today is about finding things you value. When you're in your early 20s and you've had such a small life experience, like I said before, you might not already know what matters to you in this life. You might not know that you're financially driven because you've never had a job or you're struggling to find a job. You won't know that you're family oriented until maybe you have a big incident within the family. So just try and figure out what's important to you. And what I would suggest to help you with this is reading. Now, I spoke about this in my last video about why reading is actually very beneficial for you, but you're basically condensing someone else's knowledge down from 25 years or more, or it could have taken a whole lifetime to write, and you're learning it in a few short months. And there are books out there that are aimed to help you understand yourself more, like Robert Greene's Mastery, which gets you to know yourself better so that you stop wasting time on things that you don't care about and things that you actually do care about and do want to put energy towards. And then what you're happy with is always going to be different from your peers. So your friend might want to be the person in his family who is the person to do all the first one to go to uni, first one to make 100k a year, first one to start his own business, to be entrepreneurial, whatever it is. Whereas you might just be happy as a retail worker and that's all you want from life. And who can tell you that's wrong? What you want out of this life and what someone else wants out of this life are two different things, which is also another reason why you should experiment, because no one can tell you what you're doing is right or wrong, because it's all subjective. Even what I am interested in and my best friend are interested in could be two completely separate different things, but I'm not going to judge him for that. That's just what he focuses on in his life. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about today is the fact that it's your life. Only you are able to grow and build and form the dream life that you want to live. No one else will build it for you. That person that's judging you, saying, "Oh, he's broke," isn't paying your bills. They're not funding your future. So just live life for yourself. Make it as easy for yourself as possible. Ignore all the external bullshit. Yeah, it's hard, but you just need to be able to push through it. So, guys, that's been me. If I said anything in this video that you found informative or you enjoyed, then please drop a like and a comment in the section below and tell me what it is that you've been struggling with in your personal life. Love.